بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه من والاه. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. Jazakumullah khair, everyone, for tuning in. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless this gathering, shower upon us with His mercy, reward you all for tuning in, for joining. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect you and your families. We continue with our dear Sheikh, Dr. Ma'an AlQudah. We are truly blessed to have him join us, speaking about this very important topic. We were blessed to be joined by Dr. Ma'an last week. That was part 1. And inshallah, we will continue with part 2. Ibn I will add Dr. Ma'an to the screen so we can welcome our dear guest and teacher, Dr. Ma'an AlQudah. السلام عليكم شيخنا.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. مولانا كيف الحال؟
الحمد لله. كيف الحال؟ بشرنا عنك. It's so good to see you. How are you?
حياك الله. I'm doing fine. الحمد
How's your
everybody on your side, your community?
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Are schools still open with you all? Will they close down?
Well, they are open online actually. The private schools here, the Islamic schools are still open online. Public schools actually are partially open on campus. They do allow, certain grades to go on certain days, and they alternate.
Hybrid, yeah.
Keep the crowd to the minimum, in the school. Yeah, that's the situation here.
So you have some break. Do you have some break off from your kids? Will they're always home? Will they're all?
They are always home, and it's not that easy actually to handle. A kid. In an online school system, it's very ineffective comparison to on campus one. But we have to live with the new situation. We have to adapt in a way or another. And Allah musta'an.
So how much effort do you put into it, and how much effort does your spouse put into it with your kids?
Wallahi, I stay with him almost from 8 to 3:15 throughout the whole day long. I just stay around and keep watching him, because kids are kids. I mean, if you just leave him alone, he will jump from that website of the school to some video games and some YouTube issues, and so I have to keep just watching him and make sure that he's staying properly, paying attention, studying. It's not that easy, subhanallah. It's not.
MashaAllah, that's a lot of time. We need to learn from you, mashallah. Yeah. I thought you were going to say I'm in and out, so mashallah, that's very impressive. I thought I was going to put you on the spot. Where you're going to say, I need to, improve on myself and stay more. But mashallah alayk. Allah yakhalik, barak feek, Shaykh. Thank you so much. And we're pleased to have you discuss this very important topic, and also difficult. Not many people can speak about this. I know myself, I can't. May Allah bless you in your ilm, in your health, your wealth, and put barakah in your family, and make your children coolness to your eyes, inshallah. And so inshallah, we're going to begin with you, Shaykhana. And of course, as we told people last week, Dr. Ma'an AlQudah is a member and a founder and the president of, or a co-founder of Al-Huda University, Guidance University. Please check the website. We're going to talk about it a little in the end, because I had a few questions for you, Dr. Ma'an. But please, for access, that's your best bet. I know, Dr. Ma'an, if people want the PowerPoint presentation, is that possible?
Yes, it is. It's not copyrighted at all, and I would love to send it to you, inshallah. Feel free to circulate it to your community, to anybody who's interested in.
I'm gonna add your email to the what did I just do? Sorry, I'm gonna add your email where they could email you directly if they would like the PowerPoint presentation.
Absolutely.
I just put it in the chat group, inshallah. So people, if you would like, you can reach out to Dr. Ma'an directly, and Jazakallah khair for being kind enough to give us the PowerPoint. Jazakallah khair, Shaykhana, barakallah feekum. So Shaykh, you can take it from here. Ahlan wa sahlan. Always a pleasure.
Jazakallah khair. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أمسينا وأمسى الملك لله والحمد لله لا شريك له لا إله إلا هو إليه النشور. أمسينا على فطرة الإسلام وكلمة الإخلاص وعلى دين نبينا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى ملة أبينا إبراهيم حنيفا وما كان من المشركين. اللهم إنا أمسينا منك في نعمة وعافية وستر، فأتم علينا نعمتك وعافيتك وسترك في الدنيا والآخرة. اللهم ما أمسى بنا من نعمة أو بأحد من خلقك فمنك وحدك لا شريك لك، فلك الحمد ولك الشكر. يا ربنا لك الحمد كما ينبغي لجلال وجهك وعظيم سلطانك. رضينا بالله ربا وبالإسلام دينا وبمحمد صلى الله عليه وسلم نبيا ورسولا. أحبتي، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. وطبتم وطاب ممشاكم وتبوأتم من الجنة منزلا بإذن الله. ثم أما بعد. This will be part 2 of the presentation, problematic interest-bearing transactions or riba-based transactions. For those brothers and sisters who did not get a chance to attend part 1, which was last Friday, I was saying that this is a very, very long and very detailed topic. What I presented last week was a part of this presentation, which is interest-bearing transactions in the US finance. I've been developing this presentation maybe for the last, with no exaggeration, for the last maybe 17 years. I always learn about new transactions. I study them from a fiqh perspective. If I know the answer, I just add it here as a new slide or new topic. If not, then I get back to my and the residual committee and consult with them, come up with an answer, and just add it here. Of course, we will not be discussing everything. I will just go directly to the very, very specific topic that Sheikh Muhammad al-Masmari has chosen, which is the problematic riba-based transactions. Problematic, why? Because the riba is not obvious. Okay, it's something vague. You look at it, you might think that it does have riba involved. Somebody else might say, well, I do not see any riba involved in it. To make sure that we're all on the same page, let me just start one more time as a reminder with the definition of riba. Whenever I say riba-based, what kind of riba I'm referring to? Do not get confused. We have different levels, different categories of riba. Riba al-fadl, riba al-nasa, riba al-nasiya. Forget about all these different confusing terms or terminology and just focus on this one. From now on, whenever I say riba, I mean the premium that must be paid by the borrower to the lender along with the principal amount, either as a condition for the loan or for the extension in its maturity. You borrow 1,000, you pay it back 1,100, as simple as that. If you know from day one that the 1,000 will be paid 1,100, that is a condition for the loan. If you agree, you take the 1,000 and you pay it back 1,100. If you do not agree, then you're disqualified. You cannot take the money. Or for an extension of its maturity, you take $1,000 interest-free loan for 6 months. If you pay it in full within the 6 months, then there is no consequence. If you default, then you have to pay extra money. That's still if you pay, if and only if you pay extra money after 6 months, then that is riba, the riba that I'm referring to. If you successfully pay in full, then you are not involved in riba. Always remember, when I say riba, I mean the premium that must be paid by the borrower to the lender along with the principal amount, either as a condition for the loan or for the extension of its maturity. Something else that I discussed with you last week as well, which is of course a part of our topic for tonight, which is the fact that العبرة في العقود للمقاصد والمعاني لا للألفاظ والمباني. What matters, this is a fiqh maxim, what matters in transactions is the essence and reality, not wording or formality. In a very simple words, we do not care about the terms or the technical terms that you use, whether verbally or in writing, whenever you conduct a transaction. If you remove the words riba or interest or usury and you put profit or dividend or revenue or gain or earned money, it doesn't make any difference. What we focus on is the nature and the essence, and the reality of the agreement. If and only if someone is giving money to someone else, and the recipient one is required to pay the principal with extra money, okay, with no liability, with no risk taken by the advancer, by the one who gives the money, okay, then that's an interest-bearing loan that has to be avoided. As simple as that. If I give someone $1,000 and my principal is guaranteed $1,000, and my profit on top of it, okay, whether it is $1 or another 1,000, doesn't make any difference, because we discussed the principle, the concept here, and other details. So if the APR, if the annual percentage rate is 0.5% or 5% or 100%, it doesn't make any difference when it comes to haram and halal. Okay, whatever is haram, then it's haram regardless. Whatever is halal, then it is halal regardless. So if I give $1,000 to XYZ individual, he or she knows from day one that 1,000 is guaranteed. Okay, I mean, he has to pay it back to me. Okay, plus extra money. That is the interest-bearing loan that we have to avoid. Last week we started discussing those problematic riba-based transactions. We already covered the bank loan. I'm just going through whatever we have discussed last week. The marginal account and why it is considered haram. Home equity convention mortgage, okay, or whatever is well known as reverse mortgage. We discussed it in details. The status of borrowing haram money, okay, borrowing haram money, inheriting haram money. If someone passed away and left behind haram wealth, is it okay for you as a legal heir or as an inheritant, okay, to inherit that money or not? We discussed it already. We discussed the pawn shop business, okay, the status of it, like to be the owner of it or to approach a pawn shop business and borrow money. Rotating saving and credit association, referring to as ROSCA, we discussed it in details, and the credit union as well, okay, ruling of credit union, okay, and I think we stopped here by the employer loan. Moving on, what is the status of the loan that you as an employee or as a professional might receive from your employer if you know that this is an interest-bearing loan? However, the advancer or the lender, which is your employer in this case, is the one who is committed to pay the interest on your behalf. You might ask a question, why the employer is telling me as an employee that, okay, I'm gonna give you $1,000 with 10% APR, but do not worry, I will pay it on your behalf. Don't worry, just take the 1,000 and give it back to me 1,000. My answer is, in any capitalist, economic system, riba or interest is a built-in component in that system. So much so that it's really hard to imagine, especially here in the US and in the West in general, that a loan is given or issued without being associated with interest. Okay, whenever a loan is issued, then there must be a kind of riba involved in it, right? I mean, that's the system. That's even the mentality of people who like deal in money. There is nothing called interest-free loan, because money actually is a mode of finance. Loan is a mode of finance. I mean, this is the Western mentality. This is the capitalist economic system approach. As I said last week, loan is not a mode of finance in the Islamic finance system. However, back to our discussion here. People here in this society cannot even imagine that someone is giving somebody else a loan with no interest. That's why interest has to be added. But as a courtesy, call it whatever you want, your employer is telling you, yeah, listen, this is an interest-bearing loan, but do not worry, I will take care of the interest. Okay. Now, according to this approach, the lender, which is the employer, is paying interest to himself, because he is the lender and he is the one who is paying to himself. From our perspective as practicing Muslims, it makes no sense. I mean, how come that you pay yourself an interest? But what I care about is the status of this loan. Okay, like from my side, from my perspective, if I know as an employee that I will be taking $1,000 and I'm requested to pay it back $1,000, period, with nothing on top of it, Is it okay for me to take it? My answer is yes. My answer is yes. Because as you see here, Riba Nasi'a, okay, there is no riba in this agreement because Riba Nasi'a is paid by the borrower to the lender. If you are the one, the borrower, if you are the one who is requested to pay extra money on top of the principal, that's the riba. But in this scenario here, the lender actually is issuing or creating some interest on papers and pays himself that interest back. From your side, you take 1,000, you pay it back 1,000, so you're good to go. There's nothing to worry about. Not only that, even if the loan is issued by a third party, what if your company, you know, the hospital that you work for, or you know, the oil and gas company is issuing interest-bearing loans, taking that money from Capital One, from Wells Fargo, right? But they tell you that do not worry about the interest, we will pay it on your behalf. So you are taking that money, through your employer. You are not the one who approached Wells Fargo and applied for a loan. And you are not the one who is requested to pay interest on that 1,000 in our example. Somebody on your behalf is borrowing money. Someone in your behalf is paying interest on the loan that you take. From your perspective, from your side, you take 1,000, you pay it back 1,000 only. From day one, you know that there is no extra money. Okay, there is no premium according to the definition of riba. There is no premium that has to be paid on top of the 1,000 that you have taken. Can you take that loan? My answer is yes, you can take that loan, because كل نفس بما كسبت رهينة. Every individual will be held accountable for what he or she earned. You took 1,000, you paid back 1,000, and there is no riba involved here. And that's why, again, over and over, those are problematic riba-based transactions. They're very confusing. Okay, there is a riba involved here, but you as a borrower, not the one who is requested to pay the riba. Is it halal for you to take it? Go for it. It is halal. Loan issuance fees. Loan issuance fees. You have a credit card with Chase, and the introductory period is almost over. You do not have cash money to pay off the outstanding balance. If you wait another week or so, then Chase will start charging you interest. So what you do usually is you open another credit card, okay, with, let's say, Bank of America, right? And they give you introductory period 0 APR for 18 months, sometimes for 2 years. And they offer you from day one, if you want to pay off any loan, we are willing to give you or to pay that loan on your behalf interest free. Okay, free of interest loan. Okay, your outstanding balance with Chase, in our example, $7,000. Bank of America is willing to pay those $7,000 as soon as possible to pay off the loan and to help you avoiding any riba. However, in order for Bank of America to issue that loan, there is a one-time loan issuance fees. It's not an interest. It is for the labor, it is an administrative or service fees, because Bank of America does not work for free. They do have a lot of like overhead expenses and payroll for their employees and some other expenses here or there. So if you are not willing to pay them interest, then at least you should pay the cost of issuing that loan. Okay, those employees, again, do not work for free, and Bank of America has to pay them at the end of the month. You need to take care of the expense of issuing your loan. Okay, as long as the loan itself is a 0 APR, 0 annual percentage rate, as long as you have to pay only one-time payment for the issuance of the fees, as long as that fees is introduced to you as loan issuance fees, it's not interest, then I would say that's fine. You can pay it. Usually they charge either, I think, 1% or $100. Which one is higher? Something like this. So whether you pay it a percentage or just a lump sum amount, of course, I mean, lump sum amount like flat rate is safer, but it's not your choice. You are not in a position to choose or to tell, Bank of America, you know what, I cannot pay a percent. It has to be flat rate. I mean, this is what they have. You take it or you leave it, right? So if that's the case, and you pay only for one time, okay, they call it credit transfer fees, credit transfer or balance transfer fees from Bank of America, in our example, to Chase. That would be fine. However, if you have to pay on monthly basis, okay, or it is calculated in a way that every single month there will be an extra fees justified as whatever justification they might come up with, you need to hold on. Paying on monthly basis, or paying a cumulative money over the time within the introductory period would convert this loan to an interest-bearing loan. Always remember, العبرة في العقود للمقاصد والمعاني لا للألفاظ والمباني. What matters in transactions is the essence and reality, not the wording or the formality. So if you pay 0.5% every month, okay, justified as service fees, well, that makes no sense. Okay, the loan is issued already, and the fees have been paid upfront before the loan is issued and transferred from Bank of America to Chase. Then why you keep charging me every month? That makes no sense. Okay, so even if they come up with a different name, different like terminology, oh, this is another service fees, well, that is a riba, that's interest. You need to be careful. If it is one time credit transfer or balance transfer fees, and the loan itself is a 0 APR, I would say go for it. It's not riba. That's why I said here, if this percentage is a periodic fee, even, or if, for example, the loan is given in payments, then it is clearly riba, even if it is referred to as an administrative fees. So one-time payment justified as loan issuance fees, okay, credit transfer or balance transfer fees, that would be fine. More than one-time payment, I would say, it shouldn't be an option for you. Payment plan fees is slightly different. Payment plan fees is slightly different. Very good example is the tuition fees that our kids, our college students pay to their colleges, to their universities. If the total amount that you have to pay by the beginning of the semester is $7,000, let's keep it simple, $3,000 upfront, okay, for the 9 credit hours, okay, that you will be taking this semester. If you decide to pay in full, like one-time payment before the beginning of the semester, it's gonna be $3,000. If you decide to make a payment plan with the college itself, okay, by paying $1,000 upfront, and then another 1,000 after 1 month, and then another 1,000 after 1 month, oh, there will be $25 processing fees. Okay, would that be fine or not? Some people get confused by saying, if you say, okay, that's fine, then what is the difference between this scenario and this scenario? Oh, there is a big difference. That's why, again, it is a problematic riba-based issue. What does it mean? Let me ask you this. What does it mean to pay for the tuition fees, right? It means, from a fiqh perspective, that you are buying a product, commodity or a service called credit hour. Okay, you are buying a commodity or service called credit hour. So in order for you to take a class, you have to buy 3 credit hours, or 2 sometimes, right? And to buy 3 different courses, oh, that's 9 credit hours. The price for this commodity, if you wish, or the service, call it whatever you want, is $3,000. Okay, is $3,000. If you decide to buy this service, okay, cash upfront, that's $3,000. If you want to make installment, then the price will go up a little bit. This is one justification. Exactly like when I tell you, listen, my car is for $5,000 cash if you want to buy it, and you say, you know what, I don't have 5,000. Let's make it an installment sale on 1 year, right? And I say, okay, it's gonna be $6,000 for 1 year, okay, and there is no third party to lend money, okay, to lend you as a buyer money. It's between me and you. I'm telling you, my car is for $5,000 cash or for $6,000 1 year. Which one you want? And you say, you know what? I don't have 5,000. Let me take it for $6,000 for 1 year, right? So the deferred sale or the installment sale could have a higher price than the spot sale. That's halal. Again, there is no third party. You are not borrowing money from Bank of America, borrowing 5,000, giving that money to me, and you go back to Bank of America, you pay them 6,000. No, that's between me and you. That's an installment, sale. That's bay'un bil-taqsit or bay'ul ajal, if you wish, right? That's exactly the same here. Based on that, yes, you can choose either, in our example, either $3,000 cash upfront before the beginning of the school year, or otherwise $3,075 installment. We have two different justifications here to make it halal, which is the case, inshallah. Number one, for every single payment, there is a processing fees. Okay, you are giving the university a hard time. Every single month you pay them 1,000. Someone has to take the money, someone has to process the money, someone has to update your financial profile that you paid this payment. I mean, this is an actual service, right? And there's nothing for free. So you have to pay for the processing fees. This is one justification. And the second justification is to say, I am buying 9 credit hours for $3,000 cash, or I'm buying 9 credit hours for $3,075 in installment sale. Whether you go with justification A or justification B, that's halal. And based on that, the payment plan fees is permissible. What's the difference between this scenario and the previous one? Well, this is not a loan. Okay, this is not a loan. This is a sale agreement. You are buying credit hours. Here, okay, we're talking about a loan. You are borrowing money. See the difference? And that's why, periodical service fees, okay, consistent service fees every single month is not acceptable, because this is a loan, and we need to be extra sensitive when it comes to paying on top of the loan. It's not the case when it comes to buying. So this is a loan agreement and this is a sale agreement, to keep it simple. This is a loan agreement, you need to be extra careful, and this is a sale agreement. You are buying, credit hours. So that's why payment plan fees is permissible. Sharia compliant contracts means that, like in your backyard in Michigan, and they call it University Islamic Financial. Here you go. University Islamic Financial in Ann Arbor, Michigan, offers murabaha, finance, and ijara finance, and recently they call it musharaka finance. Right now, let's put aside the soundness or the permissibility of the murabaha of this particular bank, because we as AMJA, as the Fiqh Council, the Assembly of Muslim Jurists of America, we have a big question mark, huge question mark about the soundness and the permissibility of the murabaha implemented by University Islamic Financial, and the ijara as well, and recently the musharaka as well. Now let's assume, which is not the case, just for discussion purposes, let's assume that University Islamic Financial, murabaha and ijara and musharaka as well are pure, straightforward, no glitches, no violations in the agreement. Everything looks Sharia compliant one. Okay, just for discussion purposes, is it okay for you to deal with this particular bank, providing that University Islamic Financial is a subsidiary of a university bank? Okay, so there is a subsidiary, like a branch of it, or subsidiary. The answer is yes. Okay, as long as the transaction or the deal or the contract that you sign with the other party, the contract itself is a genuine, is a halal, is a sound one. Okay, then regardless of the source of the money, you know what? Even if you deal nowadays with JP Morgan, with Chase, okay, let's just assume that Chase developed some halal products or some halal agreements, murabaha, musharaka, ijara, whatever. Okay, can you purchase a home or mortgage a home with Chase, yes, you can. Again, as long as the contract itself is a Sharia compliant one, regardless of where they got their money from. Okay, where they got their money from, that is their responsibility and not your responsibility. What you should care about is the soundness and the permissibility of the agreement that you sign with them, right? And that's why Sharia compliant contracts are okay to deal with, even if the provider of the money is just a conventional bank or a mortgage company. It doesn't make any difference. And evidence for that, yes, maybe I mentioned this dalil evidence last week, which is the fact that the Prophet ﷺ used to transact with the mushrikeen in Makkah al-Mukarram, and he did the same with the Jewish community in Medina, right? And it is well known for everybody that the mushrikeen in Mecca and the Jews in Medina used to deal with interest. Interest. It is well known that those two different communities deal with riba, and it was never ever reported that the Prophet ﷺ refrained or just put on hold the transaction until he, investigate more, or to find out, or even to ask, the other party, where did you get your money from? Okay, where did you get your money from? Well, this is not correct, actually. I mean, it did not happen. This is a very clear evidence that as long as the deal itself, the contract itself, is a Sharia compliant one, then regardless of the source of money of the other party, you can move on with no blame on you. Prophet ﷺ even went further than that. As you see here, he ate from the food offered by the Jewish tribes. أكل النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم من طعام اليهود. Even when he was invited by that Jewish lady, according to Sahih, I think it is in Sahih Muslim, عندما أكل صلى الله عليه وسلم من الشاة المصلية, when the Prophet ﷺ was invited by the Jewish lady to eat from roasted lamb, and he went there and he started eating, right? He did not even ask, oh, is this dhabiha or not? How did you slaughter it? Where did you get your money from? None of the above actually took place. Just Bismillah, and he started to eat until the lamb itself told him that inni masmuma, I'm poisoned. And that's, of course, mu'jiza for the Prophet ﷺ. And of course he quit, like he stopped eating. But this is not my point. My point here is that, again, you should care about the soundness of the deal itself, regardless of the source of money or wealth of the other party. And that's why even partnering with others who do not have a pure halal money, whether you are partnering with a Muslim or non-Muslim, and you know for a fact, or most probably you are positive, that the source of income of that partner is not coming from a halal resource. Okay, someone has a liquor store. How about that? Someone has a liquor store. Okay, wants to partner with you in building an apartment complex and just sell it with a higher price, or just using it as rental property, right? Can you partner with him, knowing that his money is coming from liquor? Can you? The answer is yes, you can, because you are not responsible for the impurity or for the prohibition of the source of income of the other partner. What you should care about is the agreement between you and him. Okay? You are responsible for your own money. He's responsible for his own money. Even if you know that your partner will be borrowing that money with interest from Chase again, or Bank of America, it does not make any difference. You should just care about your money, make sure that your money is halal, and forget about the money that the other partner actually is providing. So whether it is like purely forbidden or partially, totally forbidden, it doesn't make any difference. Even if the partner is a non-Muslim, right? And you know for a fact that his money is not halal, it does not make any difference. Still allowed. Of course, as long as the partnership is in something that's halal, then there is no blame. Can you work for a company that takes interest-bearing commercial loans? Okay, you work for oil and gas company, for IT company, for education service company, transportation, something that is halal by default. Okay. However, that corporate or corporation that you work for takes money with interest. Well, this is a very common practice here in the US. If you do not know, you should know that money is very cheap in the US. Money is very available and very cheap in the US. Companies usually do not jeopardize the reserve that they have. Okay, whatever profit or extra reserve they have, they just open investment accounts and generate interest, right? And they go to the closest bank and borrow money with interest. They borrow money with, let's say, like business loan for only 3%, only 3% APR, interest riba. And they conduct business and they make 10-15% profit. They pay off the principal, and the 3% interest, and they keep the rest for themselves, right? This is a very common practice. Okay. Now, the question here, if you know that your company is borrowing money with interest, okay, and the money that you take as a salary toward the end of the month is coming from Chase or coming from the loan or interest-bearing loan that your company already has borrowed, can you take it? The answer is yes. Al-haramu la yantaqilu ila dhimmatay. You are not the one who borrowed money from Chase. Okay, you are not taking that money as a sadaqah. You provided a professional service. You hold masters or PhD in a certain area, certain major. You provide service. You work Monday through Friday from 8 to 5, and because of the service that you provide, you deserve a kind of compensation. That's the agreement between you and the company. So what you take, the money that you take it based on the service that you provided. You do not take it as a sadaqah or as a loan or as a donation or whatever. No, you take it as a salary, right? So regardless of the source of the money, where did the money come from? It does not make any difference. That's halal for you and haram for the company to borrow. It's also allowed to work at a company that gives interest-bearing loans. Okay, sometimes your company, as I already explained in the previous slides, that your company might offer employees interest-bearing loan, but they pay the interest on their behalf for documentation purposes. For the record, they just issue a loan on papers and they pay it to themselves. Can you work for that company that issues loans, interest-bearing loans to its employees? The answer is yes, as long as you are not involved in issuing loans. You are not like a loan officer, for example, and of course, as long as the core business, the main business of that company is a halal one. You are not working for a conventional bank or a mortgage company or, Allah forbids, anything related to winery or liquor or tobacco or adult entertainment or something that is well known to be haram. And that is fine. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, which could be translated to English, and whosoever commits a sin only earns it against himself. وَمَنْ يَكْسِبْ إِثْمًا فَإِنَّمَا يَكْسِبُهُ عَلَى نَفْسِهِ. Okay, if you get involved in processing a loan, interest-bearing loan, then you are sharing the risk and sharing the sin of that act. But if you are not, then you are on the safe side. Creating liquidity, or what's called tawarruq. It's not common here in the US, but it's a very confusing topic for a lot of Muslims. That's why I prefer to add it here. But again, it's not something common for us Muslims in the US. It means simply that you need cash money. You do not have any opportunity to get an interest-free loan, right? So instead of borrowing money with interest, you try to, in a positive way, you try to circumvent the rules, okay, the riba rules, and come up with an innovative way of creating liquidity. So, for example, you buy a car, okay, for $10,000 credit sale. You pay it next year. So the car is yours. You own the car. It's now under your name, right? You take the liability of owning the car, and you owe the car dealership $10,000 next year. And you turn around, you sell that car to somebody else. You do not bring it back to the car dealership. No, you sell it to somebody else for $9,000 cash. For $9,000 cash. The outcome result here is that you borrowed $10,000. You owe the car dealership $10,000. Okay, and now you have cash $9,000. So you earn $9,000 and you pay it back $10,000. Okay, you earn $9,000, you gain $9,000, and you have to pay it back $10,000. If you zoom out and look at the whole process, you might say, well, this is interest. Okay, at the end of the day, the bottom line is that I took $9,000 and I have to pay it back $10,000. Well, this is correct up to certain limit. Okay, but it doesn't mean that what you have committed is haram, because you involve the commodity. You involve the commodity. I mean, there was an actual, genuine, real, sound sale agreement. You went to the car dealership, you bought a car, the car is now under your name, you are fully responsible, liable for that car, and then after that you sold that car to somebody else. So as long as there an actual real transaction in between, and the buyer of the car is not the seller of the car, you're talking about three different parties: car dealership, your good self, and the new buyer. If that is the case, we call it tawarruq, or creating liquidity. You did not mean actually to own a car. Your purpose, your goal is to get some cash money in a halal way, and there is no other way, okay, than to get money other than the tawarruq. Can you do it? I would say go for it. Go for it. I do not see honestly any reason to say it's haram, despite the fact that your goal is not to buy and sell cars. Your goal is to get cash money, but that's fine. I mean, the process itself is straightforward and clear, and it is halal. Again, always remember that there is a car, actual commodity involved. It was sold, it was bought, and then sold again. So I do not see any issue with creating liquidity. It's not the case. It's not the case if you do it the other way around, and instead of selling that car to a third party, okay, you sell it back to the car dealership. You know what? Let me give you another example. Okay, this phone for $100. Okay, $100. So I told Sheikh Muhammad al-Masmari, I'm selling this phone to you for $100. $100 credit sale. You pay me in 2021. And before even giving him the phone, I just on the spot buy it back from him. Now so far the phone is his, okay, and he owes me $100, right? He has to pay me $100, and then on the spot, before even giving him the loan, before giving him the phone, I buy it back from him for $90, and I give him $90 cash. Okay, and the phone is still actually in my possession. I did not give it to him, right? He ended up taking $90 from me now and paying me back $100 after a while. Oh, that is riba. That's riba. نهى النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم عن بيع العين. It's called بيع العين. Why it is called عينة? What is the root letter of عينة? That's a completely different discussion. But just remember, بيع العينة is what I already explained. I sell my phone for $100, credit sale, and I take it, and I buy it back even before handling that commodity, to the buyer. I just buy it back from him, spot sale for less. So I sold it for $100 and I bought it back for $90. Sheikh Muhammad ended up not having the phone at all, taking $90 from me cash and paying me back $100 next year. Oh, that's a straightforward interest. Now this scenario is different because there is an actual real sound sale agreement and there is a third party, right? The commodity was sold to a different party, while this one actually is not. This one is very debatable. Okay, very debatable. Some contemporary scholars and fiqh even councils consider it haram. Some consider it halal, while this one actually is unanimously by the statement of the Prophet ﷺ, this kind of sale actually is not allowed. Is it a valid sale if it is done this way? That's another discussion. Okay, بيع العينة حرام. بيع العينة like if you're gonna go with the Shafi'i school of thought, the sale agreement actually is conducted, okay, is conducted and it is approved. It doesn't mean it's halal. it is conducted and approved. So all the consequences of the sale agreement actually will be implemented here. But al-fa'ilu athimun diyanatan, the one who gets involved in bay' al-'ina will be earning sins, okay, because of getting involved in bay'. But the sale agreement actually is a valid one. It's put it this way: the sale agreement is a valid one, but the one who gets involved in it actually is committing a sin. Banking tawarruq is completely different story, and to be more accurate, the debatable issue is not the individual tawarruq. The debatable issue, the hot topic in different fiqh councils in the Middle East and the Muslim world, is regarding the banking tawarruq. Banking tawarruq is different. Bank tawarruq actually is that you go to the so-called Islamic bank and you want $100,000 in a halal way, right? In a halal way. You want cash money. It's not murabaha, it's not ijara or musharaka or like a diminishing partnership or lease to own. No. You want cash money. And of course, if you apply for a conventional loan, you will be getting $100,000 cash money, and you have to pay it back, let's say 110 or 115 on whatever payment plan might be, and that's haram. That's interest, right? So they came up with an idea. Why do not we buy golds from like some international gold markets, and those like ounces or they call the cubes of gold are owned by the bank, by the Islamic bank, and the bank actually is waiting for customers. Long story short, you go to the bank and you ask for $100,000, right? The bank would sell gold to you for $100,000. For $100,000. You know what? Let me just avoid gold and silver, because that's another debatable issue. Stay away from gold and silver. Some other like gemstones, okay, or precious metals other than gold and silver. So you buy from the bank, okay, gemstones for $100,000. Credit sale. You don't have to pay the bank on this part. Now, so far, the gemstones are yours, right? Are yours, and you owe the bank $100,000. And then you give a power of attorney or a proxy to the bank to sell the gemstones on your behalf. Spot sale. And within 1 or 2 days, the bank would give you a call that the gemstones are sold already. So they sold the gemstone on your behalf for only, let's say, $95,000. And you go to the bank after 2 days, you get your $95,000 cash money, right? Cash money. And of course, you owe the bank $100,000. Is this something halal or haram? That is the hot topic, the very debatable issue. Sheikh Muhammad Said Ramadan al-Buti, rahmatullah alayhi, the well-known Syrian scholar, was with the opinion that this kind of agreement or the bank tawarruq is permissible, because again, there is a commodity, a real actual commodity has been bought and sold to a third party. So why it's haram? According to him, it's halal. A good number of contemporary scholars says no. العبرة في العقود للمقاصد والمعاني لا للألفاظ والمباني. What matters in transactions is the essence and reality, not the wording or the formality. We did not see those gemstones. We do not know how honest the bank is. Okay, there was no risk the bank is taking whatsoever, right? The customer did not possess the client or the borrower did not possess that commodity, and that's why the whole process actually is very suspicious. You know what? Banking tawarruq is not halal. So we have a good number of contemporary scholars who believe that banking tawarruq is a scheme. It's a kind of a trick, okay, or a way to circumvent the rules of riba, and they say it is haram. If you ask me, I would say stay away from it. Stay away from it, unless you are really in like desperate need for cash money, right? You either go to Wells Fargo and you borrow $100,000 straightforward interest, or otherwise you go with the bank tawarruq if you can get some cash money through the bank tawarruq. I would say this is the least harmful or least prohibited option. Go for this one if you are in desperate need for money. But if you ask like a very innocent question, okay, is this transaction halal? I would say it's not within my comfort zone. I cannot say it's haram, but honestly, I do not feel comfortable doing it at all. Ruling of banking tawarruq, as I said, it's a very debatable issue, and it is, wallah alam, closer to the prohibition than to the, to the permissibility. Letter of guarantee. I'll stop inshallah in 5 minutes. Letter of guarantee is a kind of deal or agreement that you make with the bank. If you want to do as a merchant, if you want to do an international transaction, you want to buy some commodities from China, right? The exporter in China does not know you, right? So that's why he asked for a third party to facilitate that transaction, right? By issuing what is called the letter of guarantee. Letter of guarantee. You pay your money to the bank, and the bank sends the money to the, to the merchant or for the supplier in China. Sometimes the bank asks for money. This is a service. This is like a service or like chargeable service. If you want the bank to issue a letter of guarantee, then you have to pay for it. You have to pay for it. What is the status of the letter of guarantee? We know in the fiqh al-Islami that أخذ الضمان أخذ المال على الضمان حرام. أخذ المال على الضمان حرام. You cannot guarantee someone for a charge, because when you guarantee the loan of someone, it means that you tell the other party, go ahead and send him, like the supplier, the Chinese supplier. You tell him that okay, go ahead and send the commodity to my client. If he did not pay, do not worry, I will pay on his behalf. I will pay on his behalf. Now, before we issue a fiqh ruling here, we need to ask: did the U.S. client pay the price in full? Okay, that transaction was for $100,000. If the client already paid $100,000 cash to the bank, and the bank issued that letter of guarantee and asked for only $50 processing fees, that would be fine. That would be fine, right? Any any fees added on top of that would be fine, because this is a processing or administrative fees. The problem here is that if the client did not pay in full, if the client paid partially, $100,000, he paid only $30,000, right? And the bank actually asked for letter of guarantee for $50, $100. That transaction actually is not acceptable. Why? Because the bank is guaranteeing you for a fee. The bank is guaranteeing you for a fee. What will happen? Let me ask you this. What will happen if you, as a client, okay, as the importer, you as client, what if you did not pay the price in full, $100,000 in our example? What will happen? The bank actually has to pay in your behalf, okay? And if the bank pays in your behalf, then you have to pay the bank sooner or later. On top of that, you need to pay extra money. That extra money is interpreted as riba. So to make it simple, if the client paid the price of the international transaction in full, then issuing a letter of guarantee by the bank for a fee is fine. If the client did not pay in full, then issuing a letter of guarantee for a fee is not allowed. So permitted if you paid in full. Okay, all issuance and administrative fees are completely allowed as long as it is the average, like the average market price. I mean, if the bank is asking for $250 for this letter, okay, while other banks, offer it for only $50, oh, there is something fishy here. You need to be careful. Otherwise, just go for it. Are not permitted in this case if the client has only paid a part of the cost. The bank either guarantees or sponsors the remaining balance, right? This is forbidden to take compensation for sponsorship, because it is similar to a loan that incurs financial benefits. كل قرض جر نفعا للمقرض فهو ربا. If you did not pay in full and the bank went ahead and just paid the price of that shipment on your behalf, then that's a loan. If you have to pay the loan, okay, as is, you are fine. But in this case, you have to pay on top of the loan, which makes it actually impermissible. Factoring business in the US is a very prevailing one. Simply, it means that a finance company would buy the outstanding balance or the bad debt that other corporation have. Let's say that transportation company, right, has to pay its well, let me just keep it simple. A certain corporation, okay, has an outstanding balance, like clients have to pay that company. Okay, the total amount that clients owe, okay, that company is $1 million. Okay, and the company does not want to bother just chasing and going after those clients and asking them to to pay the money or the outstanding balance or the receivables, if you wish. Okay, they go to a factoring company and they show them documents that total amount that our clients owe us is $1 million. Okay, factoring company would say, okay, I can buy that loan from you for $500,000. How about that? So I will be replacing you. Once we sign an agreement, you are not the lender anymore. I am the lender, the factoring company. Okay, so this is actually business. This is the kind of business where you buy money for money. You buy money for money. You buy that $1 million for only $500,000, and you do so with the hope that after chasing and going after and sometimes threatening or those clients, you will be getting $700,000, right? So you bought that $1 million loan for only $500,000, and you generated $700,000. $500,000 is what you paid, and the $200,000 is your profit. This business is haram. This business is haram. I've received a lot of questions from a lot of brothers in Michigan, by the way. Some Yemeni brothers work for as 18-wheeler drivers, right? And the company actually does not pay them, okay, like systematically, periodically, every month. And the question was, can I sell my outstanding balance to a factoring company? My answer is no, you cannot do that. I mean, this is period. You cannot do that, because selling money for money with inequality actually is the straightforward, is an explicit riba. Factoring business is not allowed. You cannot buy the loan. You cannot sell your loan to a third party other than, well, that's, by the way, different from a discount that the lender might make to the borrower himself. Okay, if one of your brothers in the community borrowed $100,000 from you, okay, and he was supposed to pay you before the end of 2020, you know for a fact that he is going through some financial hardship. You tell him, "Akhi, listen, instead of paying me 100,000, how about giving me now, even before December? How about giving me now $95,000, and I will drop the 5,000. Give me now 95,000, and you're good to go. Okay, I don't want 100. I want only 95. That masala is different. That's called da'wa ta'ajjal. Did happen during the lifetime of the Prophet ﷺ, that two of the companions who were just arguing in the masjid. Prophet ﷺ got to know that one of them actually is owing the other one money, and the borrower did not pay on time. So Prophet ﷺ was waving in his hand, showing the lender like this, which means, like, in their culture, da'wa ta'ajjal, make a discount for him, get whatever you can get from him, and that will be it. Da'wa ta'ajjal. So that lender made a discount for the borrower, and instead of paying me 100, give me 95, and you're good to go. That's completely different from factoring business. There is no third party involved. No one actually is selling money for money. Okay, da'wa ta'ajjal means that the lender is making discount for the borrower. That's way different from a company is selling its outstanding balance to a third party, to a factoring company, and that factoring company is buying the loan, okay, for less and just going after the bad debtors, trying to get their money. That's completely different. So this one actually is not allowed. Ruling for factoring, it's already explained. Debt collection is different. Debt collection is that instead of that company, selling the outstanding balance, or the receivables, they call them in business, to a third party, no. They hire a collection agency to act on their behalf, okay, giving phone calls or sending emails, or even hiring like law firm to go after the clients or the debtors who are not paying. So the collection agency is acting on behalf of the lender. They are not buying the loan. Okay, they can work like, get compensated per hour, per task. They can get a certain percentage of the actual collection they make, but at the end of the day, they are not buying the loan from the lender. No, they are just acting on his behalf, as if the lender is outsourcing this job to a third party to go after the the debtors and get their money. That's absolutely permissible, and there is nothing wrong with it, as long as the terms of the agreement are clear, that you work, for example, 4 hours, you get paid monthly, you make a certain number of hours for a certain amount as a compensation. You will be getting 20% of the actual collection that you make. If you collect money, you get your commission. If not, then you deserve nothing. Whatever the deal might be, there is no explicit riba here. It's not as the factoring one. It's completely different. Yeah, I think that will be it for the problematic riba-based transactions. I think I need to open the floor. Let me just stop sharing my screen and open the floor for question and answer. Maybe Sheikh Muhammad can give us just 1 or 2 minutes. You know what, Sheikh Muhammad? The floor is yours. Go ahead. You are muted, Sheikh Muhammad.
Jazakum Allah khair, Shaykhana, barakallah fikum. May Allah bless you and reward you. And mashallah, we got Safwan back.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so much, Sheikh.
Safwan received a few questions already. People also that were seeing us in the masjid. So I know Safwan has a few questions that he's already received, and anyone that wants to ask, inshallah, can feel free to ask our dear Sheikh, so we can learn from him, inshallah. Shaykhana, by the way, before Safwan asks the question, or asks a few questions, what do you teach in Huda Guidance University? What are the subjects? What the mawad? How does someone apply? Do you have people applying?
Well, I teach in the undergrad program, in the bachelor degree in Islamic studies, almost like most of the sharia related topics, the tafsir, the hadith, the fiqh. Although my area of specialization is fiqh, and in particular fiqh of transactions, but alhamdulillah, I mean, I do teach like some other courses, Islamic penal law, for example, marriage and divorce, Islamic inheritance law. Nowadays, I do not teach that much, because I'm the president of the college, so I have an administrative role more than to be an academic one. In the graduate level, I do teach in this finance, master in Islamic economics and finance, and the masters in Islamic education. We have 2 different masters. In the education one, I teach Quran, Tajweed, Aqidah, not the technical, courses like the child development and course like child psychology and course development and curriculum development. I do not teach them because that's not my my area. When it comes to fiqh and to sharia, alhamdulillah, I can help other professors in this regard.
Mashallah, mashallah. How's the iqbal? How do you see, knowing that the only way for the Muslim community to survive in this country through preservation of faith is through seeking ilm? People have to seek knowledge. People have to increase it's sad that the next generation may not know enough to keep them going, ilm that can be shared on to the next generation. So do you see people from America sending people, I'm going to share it. Let me add it to the stream. Do you see people's, are they receptive to the idea? Do you see people are coming?
Yeah, من فضل الله عز وجل يعني I'm really glad and blessed actually to say that a good percentage of our students are new converts or new reverse Muslims. And you cannot imagine how much I feel happy when I see a brother or sister who just, accepted Islam, comes to Guidance College to seek structured, Islamic studies. It means that, alhamdulillah, like we are achieving our goal, and new Muslims actually find out that Guidance College is the right place for them to seek Islamic knowledge. When it comes to of course, like the vast majority of them are in the undergrad level. They pursue bachelor's degree in Islamic studies. When it comes to Islamic education, Islamic finance, we do believe that the qualification and the certification and the experience of Islamic studies teachers in different Islamic schools in the US, they need a lot of improvement. If you make like a very quick comparison between the qualification and the certification of the teachers of regular curriculum like math and science and English language, comparison to the academic qualification of the Quran, Arabic and second language, Islamic studies teachers in any Islamic school in the US, there is no way to make that comparison. Those teachers of Islamic studies need a lot of improvement, a lot of training, and that's why we came up with the Masters in Islamic Education to equip those teachers with more authentic and relevant knowledge and to enhance their ability of teaching students. And when it comes to finance, I mean, maybe you all agree that Islamic finance in the US is a very growing and very promising industry, and our job actually is to enhance the industry with people with a lot of values and ethics, so to improve the US finance and to inject more Islamic principles that is just and fair for everybody. That is the vision behind Guidance College, I would say.
MashaAllah alaikum, Shaykhana. With everything you're doing, may Allah bless you, and for putting so much effort into Guidance College. And of course, brothers and sisters, anyone that's watching and will watch, inshallah, from our community, you have many converts that join, and this is also a sadaqah jariyah, people that can come and seek Islamic knowledge and experience that Islamic growth that is needed, especially here in America. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you, Shaykhana, and I hope our community members can visit the website, support the college. May Allah accept from you, Shaykhana. I just wanted to I just had that question about the university. Allah yabarak fi. Safwan, it's your floor now. There's questions, so take it from here.
Sheikh, the first question that I had was related to shorting a stock. So this one was kind of the idea that you, just for context, you borrow a stock from the bank or from whoever the lender is, and you agree to pay it back maybe a month from now. And then you go and you sell that stock on the market for a certain price. And then you come back and you rebuy that stock a month in the future with the idea that it has dropped in price, and now you can achieve buying that same level of stock for a lower price and then give it back to the lender. So because this is attached to an asset, is that something that is permissible? Is that something that is allowed to do?
What do you mean by borrowing the stock? Are you buying the stock or borrowing the stock?
You're borrowing the stock.
How do you borrow a commodity? I mean, the stock actually is a certain percentage of ownership in that company. So apparently you buy it and you do not borrow it. Can you explain to me how do you borrow it?
So you just make the agreement with the bank that you get the stock, that you have to basically give this bank back a certain number of stock in a month, and then you spot sale it right away at whatever the price is, and then in the future, whatever the price is on the market of that stock, you buy that stock at that price and give the bank the stock. at that price.
Let me make it simple. If you, I mean, whatever you want, if you buy the stock or you borrow the stock, if you are the owner at a certain spot, at a certain point, you are the owner of the stock. If the market value of the stock increased, you will be benefiting. If the market value of the stock decreased, you will be incurring the loss. If that is proven, like if you sold or you bought before you proceed with paying the bank back, then you are buying that stock, and you owe the cost of the stock or the price to the bank. So you are not borrowing the stock, you are buying the stock. Again, if you are the liable party, if it is proven that you are the responsible party for any loss, and you are the beneficiary, if you wish, if there is any increase in the market value of the stock, then the stock actually is yours. You are fully liable for it. And the Prophet ﷺ said, Al-Kharaju bil-Daman. Profit follows liability. If you are the liable party, if you are the legal owner of the stock, so the profit is yours, okay, and the loss is incurred by you, then you are the owner. Okay, if you take this responsibility for a few seconds and you spot sale it right away, that would be fine. Of course, providing that the stock belongs to a company or corporation where its core business is a halal one. I mean, it goes without saying.
Right, of course. Yeah, so just for context, this is what people usually do if they expect that a stock will go down, and they expect that in a month the stock will go down in price. So then they'll short the stock with the idea that they'll be able to make money off of the stock by the stock price go down in a month, and they'll be able to make that difference between what the stock price was now and then.
Okay, generally speaking, Safwan, let's say that I bought a car from you, okay?
Yeah.
As I said in my presentation, for $5,000, right? But I did not pay you anything, okay? As long as I took the car and we made the bill of sale and I sign and you sign, then the car is mine. I'm fully responsible and liable for the car. And meanwhile, I owe you the $5,000. Now, the fact that I did not pay the price of the car does not mean that my ownership is questionable. No, I am the owner of the car.
Right.
I did not pay its price. So the ownership is something, the legal ownership is something, and the indebtedness, okay, or the fact that I'm in debt, or I owe you $5,000 in our example, that's completely different issue. So again, back to the stock issue. Even if you call it that I borrow that stock from the bank, if it is proven that you are the owner, the profit is yours, and the loss will be incurred by you, then you are the liable party. Then, I mean, any further step you take after that would be fine. I mean, you are conducting a business in a commodity that you own, right? Even if you did not pay its price yet.
So then another question is with that, options trading also exists, where you're basically buying the ability to sell a stock at a certain price. So let's say I think that a stock will, or like as a safety, I think if the stock drops below a certain price, I'm gonna buy the ability to sell it at that certain price for maybe like $2. And so let's say the stock is $25. I'm afraid it might drop below $23. So I pay someone $2, and that's the right to sell the stock at $23 within this time frame. And for me, that's just like basically insurance or safety. In case that stock price drops way below, I'll be able to sell it at a price that's easier for me to deal with than if it dropped all the way to zero.
To my knowledge, there is like more than one definition of options. But
right. I just gave one example.
Yeah. Let me go with the obvious one. Okay. Microsoft stock is for $100 in the market now, right?
Right.
And if you decide to buy the option for $5, then you can lock the price from now until the end of 2020. Okay?
Right.
Now this scenario could be justified as بيع العربون. بيع العربون. بيع العربون means the earnest money that you paid up front, or the down payment that you paid, right? So in our example here, you pay $5 to lock the price on 100 from now until December 31st, 2020. Even if the price of Microsoft stock went all the way to 120, you still have the right. To buy it for only 100. And if you decide to proceed before the end of the year, you're gonna pay only $95, because you already paid 500. Okay, is this something that happens in the real life?
Sorry, I didn't follow. Could you repeat that, please?
One more time. You have Microsoft stock, okay, offered for $100 if you want to buy it, and if you want to buy the option, it's gonna be only $5. If you buy the option of like if you pay $5, you will lock the price on 100. That's the meaning of the option. Okay, you have the option of buying it for a certain price. So even from now until the end of the year, even if the price of this particular stock like went up to 120, 130 dollars, you still have the right to buy it for only 100. Why? Because you bought the option. So this scenario could be justified as bay'u al-urbun, like you are paying or putting a down payment or an earnest money for a certain period of time, right? If you decide to proceed, okay, then you're gonna pay the rest. In our example, you have to pay only $95, right? What happens in the real life is that you do not buy it, but you sell that option to others. Is that correct?
Right. Yeah.
Well, you sell that option to others means that you give them the right of buying that stock for 100. Is that correct?
Yep. Or you could buy it yourself.
Yeah.
Either way.
Yeah. Or you can buy it either way. If this is actually what happens in the stock market, then honestly, I do not see any any reason to say it's haram, because again, this is bay'u al-urbun, wallahu a'lam. If there is any other scenario that takes place, that's a different discussion. But as far as this scenario is concerned, this is bay'u al-urbun and it is halal.
There's a lot of different variations in terms of how you can do an option, or you can do a put or call. Some are for like price floors. You could sell at a lower price in case it starts to drop. Some are, again, if you want to say buy at 115 and keep that for the entire year, in case you think the price will go way up, you can go on that option. And then there's other types of options too. I'm not that familiar with all of them, but I just wanted to get that clarified.
Let me make it clear that what is permissible to my knowledge is the scenario that I explained. If there's anything else that needs like different discussion.
Okay, inshallah. And then I had I think one of the questions was similar. It said, if you own a stock, can you sell a covered call option where you're making a contract to sell the stock at an agreed price within a fixed time period? And I think that's what you were talking about of if you, so this one's asking, you make a contract to sell the stock at an agreed price within a fixed time period. But that one is similar in terms of it's I think a lower price. So like, let's say I bought the stock for $100. I buy the ability to sell that stock for $95 at any point in the year for $5, just as insurance in case that stock goes down.
Well, it's not an insurance, so to speak. It is bay'u al-urbun. It's a down payment, and if the price and if the price went down to $80, then you are losing anyway, because you bought it actually with the impression that Microsoft stock will go up to 120, and that's why you decided to pay $5 upfront to lock the price, the price on 100 only. If it went down less than 100, then I mean, you are losing anyway.
Yeah. Okay. So if the price went down to
$80,
right. So like, but let's say I bought the ability to sell it for that price. So I locked in the ability to sell the Microsoft stock for that price. Like I bought the stock from you, but then I bought from you the option or the ability to sell you back the stock for $100 at the same time. So I pay you $105, and I say the $5 extra is for this whole year. I could sell you the stock for $100. But
well, you are switching the ownership. Okay. Now, for now, I'm the pending owner of Microsoft stock because I already paid $5 to lock the price. So I have priority over others to buy it for 100 in our example, right? I can sell that option to you, Safwan, for $10. So
yeah.
This actually fiqh-wise means that I'm switching the ownership. Okay, whatever I already own from that stock, I'm selling it to you and giving you, okay, the floor is yours. Here is the option, but give me $10 and I will be like out of the this transaction, and you take it from there. If you want to buy the stock, if you want to keep the option with you, if you want to sell the option to somebody else, that is your call. I'm just out. Give me $10 and you take over the ownership that I already established in that particular stock. That would be fine.
Okay. And then the other question that I had was, so let's say you have a student who is, he took out student loans and he's in a graduate program. What would you advise them to do in terms of, that situation of you're already kind of within a graduate program or you're within school and you are in the situation where you have loans, but you don't really know what to do next or how you would handle it?
Are you asking about taking a loan or how to pay off the loan, or what is the question exactly?
Right. So like, let's say the question is you've already taken loans or you're in the process where you need to take loans and you don't really have an alternative. Is it something where you would immediately have to stop taking loans and or like stop going to the graduate program, or is there some possibility in terms of like?
Remember last week I said student loans are permissible as a dispensation or exemption if taking a student loan is the only way for a certain student to proceed with his or her study.
Okay.
Or to start a subsidized loan if you're undergrad, subsidized loan, which is an interest-free loan for a certain period of time. And for the graduate students, you are not even eligible to take a subsidized. It has to be unsubsidized loan. Unsubsidized loan means interest-bearing loan from day one. I'm not sure if you still remember. I said that we discussed this issue in our fiqh council in MJ, and we concluded that higher education is not a necessity, but it is a legitimate public general need, right? So if that need of higher education cannot be fulfilled without borrowing money with interest, then borrowing money with interest becomes ضرورة. And I mentioned the definition of the ضرورة: ما يلحق المكلف ضرر بتركه ولا يقوم غيره مقامه. الضرورة is an irreplaceable it is a unique irreplaceable matter that missing it causes harm to the Muslim. Now the unique irreplaceable matter here is the interest-bearing loan, which means that you cannot study without borrowing money with interest, right? So borrowing money with interest becomes ضرورة. Okay. Personally, I might not feel comfortable allowing my kids, taking unsubsidized loan, but that's my personal choice, right? But when it comes to fiqh, haram and halal is taking unsubsidized loan, interest-bearing loan for a student who is running out of resources, out of options. There is nothing else other than to take a loan with interest. Can he take a loan with interest, unsubsidized loan, to pursue a degree or to graduate? The answer is yes. This is not my personal opinion. This is the official position of MJ, our fiqh council.
Okay. Jazakallah khair. Those were the two questions that I had received, and I don't see any more questions in the ticker. Thank you so much, Sheikh.
Absolutely.
جزاكم الله خير شيخنا. بارك الله فيكم. Safwan, thank you so much, man. You're so handsome. Thank you. I appreciate it, man.
Jazakallah khair, akhi. Barakallah.
Sheikhana, you're always handsome and beautiful too, Sheikh. Thank you. And we can't wait to see you soon. Keep us in your du'as. And anything, please let us know. We love you for the sake of Allah, Sheikhana, and we always benefit from you.
Jazakumullah khairan for the opportunity for the second time to meet virtually with my brothers and sisters in Michigan, and let's inshallah hope that we continue like those seminars and sessions, for the best interest inshallah of your community.
Jazakumullah khair, Sheikhana. Thank you, Safwan, again. Jazakumullah khair. Barakallah fikum. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik, nashhadu an la ilaha illa ant, nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Jazakumullah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.